So this is me again, back on my Scorpio whisper shit. And before anybody is like, Denise, why are you exposing us? Look, I'm really exposing myself. My Venus is in Scorpio and it's kind of a prominent placement for me. So I'm exposing myself to expose you, to expose all of us so that people can understand us better. If you love a Scorpio, you really are going to want to know this. So as I always do, I break apart the symbolism to get to know the sign more. And this is all going to relate to the fear. So Scorpio again is a water sign ruled by Mars. So we have the symbol of Mars, the warrior, the protector, the aggressor, right? And then we have water. So water is the deep inner sanctum that Scorpio essentially is trying to protect. They're trying to protect their feelings, their emotions, their psychic energy from others. And they do that by diving really deep. And this relates to the fear. So when Scorpios, let me move this shut here. When Scorpios get to know somebody, it takes them a while to trust the person. And it takes them a while because, as I said, they are deep sea divers. They are really going in there with somebody. They want to see every aspect of you, including the ugly aspects of who you are. If they haven't seen you in a bad light, they don't really know you yet. And this is why they take so long to solidify a relationship at times, because for a Scorpio, the biggest fear that they could have is not having made a deep enough assessment of somebody. Essentially, their biggest fear is failing themselves. It's failing to see what was in front of them all along. So this is why they like to see people in chaotic situations, in traumatic situations. They want to see, what are you made of? Like, what happens when things don't go right? What happens when something terrible happens to you? How did you respond to trauma? What is your reaction to people who are maybe not squeaky clean? How do you feel about those things? How do you deal with that? And so they'll observe you as you go through life, and they'll see, how do you deal with death? How do you deal with chaos? Can you handle it? Because Scorpios are supremely aware of the fact that life is not all roses, right? Shit gets tough sometimes. Things are painful. Sometimes we go through very chaotic periods. Sometimes people deal with mental illness. Sometimes people deal with very serious loss that causes them to become very psychologically unstable. Scorpio became Scorpio because they were around all of this, right? And so they're not going to be interested in a person who has a very vanilla view of the world, who is not going to know how to react to situations like this. So this is why they will observe you for a long time before they actually kind of pursue you or get serious about you, because they want to anticipate any way that you could hurt them or disappoint them. And so it's not in itself that they're afraid that you're going to leave them or cheat on them, even though, of course, that is a fear. What they want to know is that they've made a deep enough assessment that they'll know what kind of thing you'd be prone to doing. So, for example, it's this saying in Spanish. It's a Mexican saying. I don't know if all Latin American people are familiar with it, but it's like, yo sé lo que tengo. Like, I know what I have. And Scorpio very much knows what they have. So when they have somebody, when they're with somebody, you better believe that they know that person and they know what that person is capable of, because not only have they put them through an extensive testing process, which people are like, Denise, that's gaslighting or whatever it's called. So Scorpios put you through all of these tests. And even if let's say they're very mature and they don't do that, they don't resort to testing you, they will observe you because life tests you. So they're going to watch you to see how you respond to things. And they're trying to see what you're made of. Like, they want you to have guts, right? So they want to see that you won't fall apart when shit gets hard, essentially. And also, they want to know your dark side, your bad side. What are your weaknesses? What kind of things are you most prone to doing, right? So are you a liar? So they'll observe you. They'll listen, depending on what kind of Scorpio they are, they'll listen to the things that you say. And the Virgo Scorpios are just like, they will listen to the things that you say and they won't say anything. They'll just everything is a mental record with Scorpio. They're detectives. They are always paying attention to you because they want to get like a complete, like those crime shows, those fictitious crime shows where they pull up the perp and they're like the picture and they're just like, he does this and this. And FBI profilers, that is Scorpio. Scorpio is a profiler. And so when they are getting to know somebody, they're creating a profile. And just like those FBI profilers, when a crime happens and they're like, who could have done this? Call the FBI profilers. So they want to know, what kind of crime would you be guilty of committing? So they'll pay attention if you're dishonest. They might not tell you, but if anything ever doesn't add up, they're going to be like, oh, this person could have lied because they're a liar. And the thing about Scorpio is that they don't show their hand. So they could be sitting on information for the longest time and they won't tell you. They won't tell you until it's relevant, until they have to prove something to you, until they're trying to make a point. And it can be kind of scary, but it is just how they operate. And the reason for this, as I said, is because they never want to be unprepared. They never want to feel like you did something to them that they never would have expected. It's kind of, again, the psychology people are going to be like, Denise, it's kind of like they're expecting negative things to happen. This sounds like a trauma response. It often is. It comes from, this idea that that the world is dark, that painful things happen because there's evil out there. Scorpio is very connected to that. They're very aware of that. So in order to protect themselves from situations like that and to prepare for situations like that, they investigate and they dig and they protect themselves by keeping records, by investigating, becoming profilers. So more than anything, it's not the crime itself that they'd be afraid of, like the cheating, anything like that. I mean, even though, yes, like some of the Scorpios are very offended right now that I even suggested that. And I don't wish that on you or anyone. Me persino, te persino. It's not going to happen. But I'm so superstitious. I'm sorry, guys. But they want to be prepared for whatever it is that you could do to them potentially. So this is why they'll put you in all sorts of situations. They'll observe you. And it reminds me of the first guy that ever liked me, the first guy to ever notice me that I liked back he was actually a Scorpio sun. I'm a Scorpio Venus. We dated in high school. When holding hands was like the only thing that kids would do, like back in the 1900s. And I remember that I didn't trust him yet. And so when he cheated on me and I found out he cheated on me because other people told me, I wasn't hurt because I didn't know him. And I was just like, well, that's to be expected. And I was just kind of like, it didn't really break my heart as it would have if I trusted him and I knew him. So the Scorpio fear is trusting a person, trusting that they wouldn't do this one thing and then they do it, and that in itself. Because it's like you're mad at yourself for not seeing that they had the capability of doing that, right? And that is the biggest fear, I think, because as investigators, we really want to feel like we can anticipate anything. And I will say, this is a great pride of mine, that nobody that's ever harmed me has ever harmed me in a way that I didn't expect, because I have kind of a very realistic and sober view of the world and love and relationships and people. And so when people behave badly, I'm just like, that's how people behave. And it doesn't shock me. It doesn't, because I know what I have. And so this is a very Scorpio view of the world. This is why they're not afraid of seeing people's darkness. They're not afraid of hearing about people's trauma. This is why when people are just like, oh, I'm sorry for trauma dumping, I'm like, buddy, give it to me. This is what I was made for. Like, it does nothing to me. It doesn't hurt me. It doesn't stifle me. It doesn't weigh me down. If you want to dump it right all over me because it does nothing. And it just allows me to know you more. And this is pretty much the Scorpio modus operandi. Like, Scorpios want to know all of that about you because they want to be prepared for the kind of results that could come from having the kind of life that you've had. So guys, let me know what you think in the comments. Does this work for you? Do you think that your biggest fear is not really like a bad thing happening, but you not having foreseen it? Because as Scorpios, we're very intuitive and we feel like, I just know. I trust my intuition so strongly, and it has never led me astray. So let me know in the comments what you think about that. As always, I have a limited number of readings every single month. So if you're interested in that, go to my website to see if I still have any. And aside from that, I do have some other listings there if you'd like to work with me in a different capacity. If you want to learn some astrology, I have some stuff there. But other than that, I will see you in the next video. I love you very much.